I remember like there was one meeting that I just wrote down like 7 acronyms. And then afterwards I was like, okay, some of these might be self-explanatory, but I'm going to need
go back to this page tomorrow.
Somebody explain them to me, please. But
hey, everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Kick Your Boots Up podcast. We're so excited this week to have some girl time. So if you're a guy, don't tune out because you're going to learn a thing or two. And ladies, this episode's for you. And more specifically, if you are looking forward to advancing yourself in a career or in college, or maybe you just don't know what your next step is, you're going to want to hang on to a lot of the words that this next guest has to offer. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to our summer intern, our social media intern here at Justin. This is Syndey Gowan. Syndey, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Absolutely. And I am just like so excited to talk to you because I remember from the very beginning of the process, I didn't get to be a part of the whole thing, but looking at your resume, there was a few things that stood out to me. You were very, very organized. I could tell right then and there. But then also like the passion for doing good and for agriculture kind of bled through in everything that you did. So I know a little bit about you, but I still don't know a lot. I'm going to learn a lot today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got to where you are right now.
Well, I grew up in Frisco, so that's an hour from here in Fort Worth. Lived there my entire life. I didn't grow up in agriculture, so I guess that is something that's unique to my situation, being so like heavily involved now in just certain aspects of it. Yeah. But wasn't until high school that I kind of like found my passion for agriculture, and it was through FFA, which I know a lot of people can relate to and also like share that passion. Sophomore year of high school, I got moved to a brand new high school that didn't have an FFA chapter. And obviously I was not okay with this because that was what I wanted to be doing. So with the help of like other chapter members and an amazing ag teacher, we chartered a chapter in a year, which was, I guess, not unusual, but definitely quicker than maybe we thought or someone else thought. Just really impressive and like thankful that I got to be a part of that. But that's where it kind of like really kicked into gear. I got to see some like behind the scenes that I feel like we don't always get to see with our ag teachers, or like what goes on that like qualifies your chapter for certain things. So
you can check that off the box,
right? And if kind of a fun thing, like my first state convention, I got to walk the stage, which super fun. Got to accept a charter from, Austin Large, who was the executive director, I believe was his title with Texas FFA at that point. But just super cool. And that just like went into, dairy cattle judging and showing market goats and, chapter conducting and all those different things that kind of just continued to grow my passion. But that obviously, I'm also come from a family of Aggies. So choosing Texas A&M. Right now I'm at Texas A&M. Probably should have started with that. I'm a junior, but so obviously I've had that love for a really long time for that school, and we are Colt, and I'll say it. So whatever.
I'm glad you said it.
However, I know somebody has to say it, and it might as well be the Aggie. That makes it a little bit better. But obviously love from family, but then obviously a passion for agriculture and kind of advocating for it I found myself at Texas A&M. Okay, so that led me to my major, which is a double major that is agriculture, communications and journalism, and agriculture, leadership and development.
Whoa, so a mouthful.
Yeah, so a mouthful. I can barely say it myself. But that is my major, so that's kind of where led me to this awesome opportunity of working at Justin this summer. But I definitely have a love for like communicating, understanding people, serving people, that kind of aspect. So with leadership and communications, that's obviously like a lot of what I do at school. But then like outside of class, that's also like, I really appreciate you saying that about my resume, because while it is like they are resume builders, like those like clubs and organizations like mean so much more than that to me. But just kind of like a lot of mentoring through like freshman leadership development organizations and fish camp, which I'm sure the Aggies are familiar with, but it's basically like cowboy camp for OSU or those types of things, like just a camp for freshmen to get to know like campus and campus life and traditions and stuff like that. So just got really involved in some of that, and then a little in the College of Agriculture, of course. But with all that being said, just kind of like it enhanced my passion for communicating and doing it effectively and leading people and serving people. So super excited to work with such an amazing marketing team for a iconic brand. But yeah, and just I had spoken with Taylor Morton about 2 years ago for an assignment for class.
Really?
We were supposed to interview a public relations professional, and my roommate now worked with her through Text FFA, and he gave me her contact, and I reached out, and she was super enthusiastic about it. It was so fun to talk to. I learned a lot about the brand and her job, and from then on out, when people would ask me what I wanted to do, it was to work in marketing for a Western brand. So then fast forward, I guess, a year and a half later, I saw this job opening on Of the West.
Yeah.
Of the West.
That is confusing. Standard of the West. That's
Lots of the West. But Of the West, which I believe is fairly new.
Yeah.
A woman started it, I believe.
Jessie Jarvis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was shown in one of our classes of how to network and and kind of where to start finding a job. So saw it on there, and then I reached back out to Taylor and just let her know hey, I applied for this job. I loved getting to know you and more about the brand, and just let me know if you think there's anything else that I could do to, better my chances for this job.
Yeah.
And then a month later, I followed back up because, as you, if you're younger, as you'll know, begin to know, it's good to always follow up with a thank you, or I really enjoyed talking to you, or these things that might not seem like they matter, and they might seem almost cheesy, but they could be the connection, the networking that everybody involved benefits from, because you use it in the future.
And you never know. I don't think this was the case with you. I really don't know, but you would never know, if there's two people that are potentially could fill the job, if one went above and was hey, here's a thank you, or here's a check-in, that might make me think, oh, okay, they're more on it than this person,
Yeah. And I mean,
so good for you.
They had talked about that in class, just some professional development stuff. It could be the difference, and it could be simply the difference between Taylor knew me.
Yes.
I guess in a more personal way, not personally, but in a more personal way, had talked to me before, and maybe that was just I guess, I don't know. I guess we could ask her, but
yeah, after this, we're going to actually get your boss on to tell the real truth. No,
yeah, I know. And then we'll compare stories. But you just never know. So, really thankful that I did that. But I mean, in a non-cheesy way, I enjoy that communication aspect. So I love to follow up and thank you and all that stuff. So,
and I'm really glad that you said that, actually, because I personally feel at times I'm I'm being too much of a person. And I think women in general feel this way. I don't know. Let us know if you feel that way out there too, because holy cow, there's some kind of double standard for women where we kind of have to make ourselves smaller to be something to another woman even. And there's times when I'm oh, I don't need to send a thank you because they're going to think I'm trying to kiss butt or something. In reality.
No, that's, yeah.
And I love also, I can relate to you on the resume builder thing, because you're right. There are people out there, and that's totally fine if you're this way, that are oh, I'm going to fill the resume. That way I look like I did something with my college career. And then there's others that are no, I literally had so much fun at Camp Cowboy or Camp Aggie or whatever.
Right.
And so good for you. Kudos there. And there's so many. I want to go back, actually, because something that caught my attention was you said that you showed goats. And I've got to ask the $1 million question, the Aggie, the actual agriculturist in me.
Right.
Wants to know, whenever you were showing your goats, was this before or after the time where you had to brace the goats to show them?
This was during.
Okay.
Yes. So
you had to brace them like a lamb.
Yeah.
Was that silly to you?
Exactly like a lamb. And I think in my head, because I didn't come from an agricultural background, in my head, when I started FFA, I would start with a rabbit or something small.
Yeah.
And then I would work my way up to a steer, which people in agriculture know that's not how that works. And once you've bought everything for the goat, we're not going to stop and then buy everything. And then you can make connections with breeders and learn how to feed it. And the ratio of the protein and the enhancer, like all of the different like nutrition, like you just don't do. But found that out quickly. So then I like got into goats. And then I'm tall, I'm like 5'9". So I'm trying to brace this. I mean, I never competed in heavyweights because that's for the very competitive group, but that's okay. I was a lighter, smaller goat, and I'm like 5'9". And fun fact, I tore both of my ACLs in high school at one point. So there
Bracing goats?
Well, no, playing basketball, but definitely made the bracing goats part like harder. So I'm like trying to like brace this goat. We had to like figure out a way for me to hold it. So long story long, actually. Yeah, I did. And it was not always super fun.
Okay, that's like such an interesting concept to me. That's why I had to ask, because I got out of it just in time. I actually, when I showed goats, it was like when I was way younger, but I was showing pigs, and still I had gotten out of it just in time, because then next thing you know, they're bracing the goats and I'm like, what is this? Are they confused? And I get now it's obviously you want to present them the best and you want their bodies to look good and all that stuff. But I always just remember being taller like you and thinking like, how does that work? Because I already struggled with a sheep. I didn't know what I was doing, just like in the round robin stuff, you know?
Yeah. Right.
So anyways, that's awesome. Kudos to you. And then going back to like your high school into college transition, I'm sure that was hard in terms of like, there's so many decisions. What college are you going to go to? What are you going to major in? And then choosing the ag college and sticking with it. I know people out there who've listened to the podcast long enough have known my story where I switched several times. You know, it's pretty common. So now fast forward, you've made it through your junior, you're going to be a junior?
Going to be a senior.
Going to be a senior. Okay, you've made it through your junior year. You've basically not mastered college, but you've understood it.
Yeah.
What do you think you would go back and tell yourself at like high school to going into college transition age?
Well, definitely like before I knew I had gotten into A&M, I had kind of had this like crisis, for lack of a better term, that I was like, I seriously, like I've grown up my entire life, like going to be an Aggie, like going to school there. Like, I'm not sure what other option like I would choose. Like, of course I applied to these other schools, but I mean, like to the point where like I didn't even tour them. Like I just knew nowhere else. And that was okay with me because I really, really wanted to go there. But I didn't know until like February, like 3 months before we graduated, that's where I was going to get to go. So I would definitely say just like to trust the process. I know that there's a lot of kids that are like family friends that I've known, like that are younger than me, that have like been between colleges, and like I don't know, like I feel more at home here, but I'm like closer to my mom here, or like there's just a lot of decisions like surrounding where you go to college. It's a big one, but I would just say kind of like trust like where it feels at home, pray about it, just kind of allow like yourself to not get super like worked up about it, because you also could go and then change your mind.
That's okay too,
right?
Yeah.
And you can just change your mind. But I would definitely say to that group that is about to apply for college, or like, I guess the group that just graduated has already decided. But if you're about to decide, I would just say to like trust your gut. And I mean, ask your family members, your friends, like where, you know, just kind of like talk it out, like talk out your feelings, and kind of just trust that God will place you in the right place.
Oh, without a doubt. We were kind of talking a little bit about that off camera, about how everything happens for a reason. And as much as we would like to make plans, the good Lord upstairs laughs as soon as we make plans, because you're like, I want to go left. And he's like, okay, you're going right.
Right. He's like, that's not an option, actually. It seems like it, but it's not.
But everything had to work out the way that it did to get here, to get to be going into your senior year at your dream school, you know. True. But I can't help but ask, what would your parents have thought if you went to a different college? Would they have disowned you a little bit?
Well, so my dad's not an Aggie. He's the perfect honorary Aggie. He has all the spirit, just that's not where he graduated from. But there were jokes, I mean, amongst my family, like, like Tarleton or Baylor, or OSU or Auburn, all these different places that like I knew a little bit about from like friends and family and stuff. But like they were like, yeah, right. Like you would never do that. And I'm like, right.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. True. But I seriously like was one of those kids that like I wanted to go to A&M so bad because my mom went to A&M. Like I just ordered
legacy.
Right. And I just ordered my ring. So I'll get my ring in October, which is a big deal for us Aggies. But like I like one of my biggest dreams was to have an Aggie ring, just like my mom. So, and a lot of the rest of our family. So
it's about to happen.
I know,
maybe
right?
even by the time this podcast comes out, it might have already happened.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. You'll have to follow Syndey to see.
Right. Check out the bling.
But along those same lines, kind of a little bit, going back to what you said earlier about like your degree and the mouthful that it is and like how hard you have to work. Talk to me about your time at college, because I want to give you some advice. My advice is live each day, like live it up. And I hate to say that because you're in college and it's like, live it up, be the life of the party. I don't necessarily mean that, but that too, that's part of it, you know, but you think in the moment in college that your life is so serious and your decisions matter. Like you have to have your whole 5 years planned out. They teach that even like that you're the next 5 years, what are you doing? But in reality, like when you look back, those were some of the best days of your life. That's like the one time that all your friends are going to be in the same area. So take advantage of that. Enjoy that. There's my little soapbox.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love it. And like to be reminded of that is great, because sometimes you lose yourself in that wasn't a 4.0 semester.
Yes.
And I didn't make fish camp chair, like the next level of my student organization.
Right.
Like you think it is like the end of the world, but then you're kind of like, wait, I'm so blessed to be here, thankful for all the opportunities that I've experienced. And like, you're at college and you might be at your dream college. Like I seriously will walk around campus and like be like, stop, deep breath, look at where you are. If you would have told Syndey in middle school that I was an Aggie,
whew, no way.
No way. Like,
and I am so glad that you appreciate that, because like walking past, for me, OSU, walking past like library lawn into the fountain, that was always
I
like,
know what you're talking about. So beautiful.
Okay.
So
yeah.
beautiful.
So for me, that was always like I get to go here. And so good for you.
Yeah.
No, keeping that moment.
Well, yeah. And that would be another little piece of advice. Just like, it seems silly, literally just stop and like look around you and then take it in for a second, because you'll be a few years out of college and be like, oh, I want to go back.
For real. These bills, I wish I was in college.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my mom, like, obviously, like, I'm about to graduate. It's been a minute since she's been in college. Like, I want to say at least once a week. Every couple of days, she's like, I'm just so jealous. I'm just so jealous.
Oh, good. She's kind of kept you humble.
Yeah. No, she's like, you better take advantage, because a lot of us want to be back in college. So
let me ask you this, and I truly don't know the answer, so shame on me for not looking up any more about A&M, but are there any superstitions on campus? Like, I'll give you an example. At OSU, there's this building called Morrill Hall, and there's these stairs that are like, oh gosh, it feels like they're 100 feet high. And the superstition is, if you go up those stairs, you're not going to finish in 4 years. Well, I innocently did that, didn't know it was a thing. Someone told me after, and then I didn't finish in 4 years.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, maybe that is true.
Yeah, that makes you think for a second.
Are there any superstitions at A&M that you learned?
So there is the seal, which is like the university like crest, I guess seal and crest.
Okay.
Interchangeable sort. I don't know. But like the emblem that has like the like ATM in it, whatever. It's in like the middle of Military Walk, which goes in front of our academic building. So I guess that all is kind of foreign if you don't know what I'm talking about, but kind of in the center of campus. And if you walk over it, then you won't finish in 4 years.
Ooh, but is that true? Do you know?
I don't know. I rarely see somebody walk on it.
Okay.
Like, but you know, we're kind of like super crazy about those things. So there's like a bunch of them. Like if you walk with if I were to walk with a guy under the century tree, which is this big tree that like literally grows into the ground and comes back out, then like if we don't like, I guess this is probably not exactly correct, but that would be the person. Or if it wasn't, then like I would never find the person. Like it's something along those lines. So like, that might not be exactly correct.
No, but I get it.
But so like those, and then we have a memorial student center, which is like a living memorial for veterans. So you're not supposed to walk on that grass, but I guess that's less superstitious and more just like
respect.
But that kind of vibe, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to know out there, if you're listening, if you have any superstitions with your school, comment below, because I'm super into this. I love it. I love hearing like all the, is it true? Is it not? Maybe we could have a whole podcast episode on it. But
about all the different colleges. I mean, I think it's so fun. Like my cousin goes to OSU, and like I was there for Bedlam. I think I told you this, which is like OSU, OU football. Yeah. But and OSU won last Bedlam.
Yes, they did for like last and the first time they won, and like we don't need to talk about it years.
No, like let's just focus on this one, and it was the last. And like A&M does not want OU or Texas in the SEC, but we don't have to get into that. Y'all could keep them, but whatever. But like getting to experience that and like the appreciating another university's like traditions and stuff, it was really cool. So on the side, go Pokes.
Hey, I love that. We'll make a poke out of you by the time you leave. We're going to take a quick break though, but when we get back, we're going to talk more about Syndey's experience here at Justin. Stay tuned. Hi ladies, summer is here. And if you're anything like me, you're looking for the perfect summer dress, something that will keep you cool and stylish and also look cute too. So whether you're gearing up for your backyard barbecue, your beach vacation, maybe even a few weddings you have this summer, Justin Boots has you covered with their stunning collection of dresses. And that's right, I said dresses that have a sheer sleeve that the wind blows right through and keeps you nice and breezy so you can look your best when you're going to these events where you're definitely going to sweat. And as a special offer for being a Kick Your Boots Up listener, we'd like to offer you 15% off your next purchase. Just use code KYBU15 at checkout. That's code KYBU15. Hey guys, we're back in studio with Syndey. And now we're going to jump right on into your time here at Justin. By the time this podcast airs, you're going to be winding down, or who knows, you may have already left us. So we're talking to the future. But while you're here, I wanted to grab you and get your perspective on what you've gotten to do so far as an intern. I know that we used to have interns, and there's a lot out there that probably watch this podcast. And then it closed down when the world shut down at COVID. And so you're one of our first few interns back. So what has your experience been like? And you can be honest.
No, all positive, honestly. Definitely honored to be like one of the first to get y'all back into the internship program and everything like that. But I said and still say definitely a dream opportunity. I have been wearing Justin boots my entire life too. One of my favorite pair with a bent rail. I think they're called the Lanos, just all tan with the beautiful stitching on them. But so I was obviously a Justin fan, but so that kind of the passion for the brand and the love for it was already there. So I guess that was a benefit, but that definitely helps. I've worked on creating content for TikTok and Reels, which is very constantly changing, very trendy, very new, which is really hard to tackle. But I think it's fun because we all watch TikTok and Reels all the time, so it's pretty easy to at least keep up trend wise. So I've been working on that, and that's been really cool just to kind of see what does well and what doesn't, because I feel from a just watching TikTok perspective, we all do, or me and my friends do, I'm never thinking this probably didn't do well because of this, or this did well because they was a combination of this trendy sound and this transition, and they talked about this and it was posted at the right time. So it's cool to see the timing of content and how it goes out. And obviously you and Emily, the social media manager, she does a great job of planning it. So with the combination of all of y'all working together, it's cool to see how y'all come up with that. But I agree. Also, y'all do a great job. And I know especially with just production always being different, and that's something I also learning a lot more of the business side, seeing how y'all adjust to different dates changing has been really interesting. That y'all probably are used to it, but I'm oh my gosh, a 2-week difference, how does that change this and going at will
that song still be trending in 2 weeks?
I'm I made a TikTok that's trendy right now and it might not be trendy tomorrow, but it's not going out for another 2 weeks, and I'm gonna have to make another one, which is totally fine, but it's very interesting because it's not as simple as it seems. But also getting to do a little bit of the other marketing areas, I guess, working with Taylor, that is the public relations manager, and kind of seeing she does a great job obviously maintaining relationships with endorsees or celebrities and things around Fort Worth. So it's really cool to see like her do her thing and learning how she writes press releases, which was something that I was super interested in coming into the internship because PR obviously having to do with like a lot of relationships like based, and that being like something I just like love and like am okay at naturally.
Yes.
Super excited to like learn those things. So writing some press releases and just seriously like one piece of advice for any person doing any internship, take notes and just carry around your journal, take notes, even if it seems silly, ask the silly questions, write down all the information, like literally just like sitting in front of y'all and just like soaking it up. Because
I will say that's such good advice. Thank you for saying that, because you have done really good at asking questions. A good example of that is like we're in meetings all the time planning, and we all are used to the way we work. We understand, these things, and we're looking at it like this because we've done it for so long. But you come in as an outsider and you're like, what about this? And we're like, whoa, what about that? So you've contributed as well. It's good to have that fresh energy in our sessions.
Yeah. So. And I think something that like the brand is like a goal of ours, y'all's in the future, is to like continue to like find the balance between being a heritage brand and staying true to y'all's values and morals and kind of like keeping the heritage within the brand, but also like being trendy. So I think it's fun that like I got to see kind of how y'all were already balancing that, and then like hopefully adding a little bit to the conversation. So that's definitely been one of the cooler things.
And do you have to do anything with school for this? Do you have to write any papers or anything?
I don't believe I have to write any papers, but I am enrolled in a class that like we like provide reflections for the other people in the class. Like, what are you working on this week? What is something you learned? Wow. Like some cool stuff like that. So like, I mean, doing that type of thing. And then I think I'll end up doing like a professional development plan, but thankfully no papers. I don't, unless I haven't read through the full syllabus and that would be a problem. So, but yeah, getting class credit for it always helps, but
definitely.
Most majors nowadays have you do some type of like, I think they call it like high impact experiences or something along those lines, where it's like an internship or you're a TA or
something hands-on.
Right. Yeah.
That's good.
To apply.
That's really good.
Whatever, whether it be the leadership or the communication. So
what do you think has been the hardest part about your internship so far? Has it been the drive, the hour drive?
Yeah, it has been the hour drive. That definitely doesn't help any. Man, y'all have made it so, y'all are so welcoming, and like y'all always, nobody ever seems put out kind of to stop and explain things to me. So it's kind of hard to think of something, but I think just like personally, probably like catching up with y'all's lingo.
Ooh, that's
so like whether that's like internal lingo, just like Justin, or like Western, like terms, Western apparel, Western footwear,
shoes,
boots,
anything,
or like just anything like that. I think has been
like WISA,
or kind of like all the acronyms, like obviously like all the things that we partner with, like
JST, JCCF, FFA, which you got that one.
Yeah, I have that one. So
PRCA.
Right, like all of those things. I guess that was the hardest part, but no, definitely made it easy. Like I remember like there was one meeting that I just wrote down like 7 acronyms. And then afterwards I was like, okay, some of these might be self-explanatory, but I'm going to need
go back to this page tomorrow.
Somebody explain them to me, please. But
that's awesome. So that's so cool. Well, I know it's been a joy having you here, and you've been so helpful. I know that a lot of people out there are going to get to see your work. They actually, by the time this is going to be aired, you're going to be wrapped up probably with your stuff. But we just had a leather care video that you did from start to finish. You got to tell everyone how to clean their seats. I know we just recorded one this morning. Just having that experience, like I'm so proud of you, and I know that you're going to go so far. And keep it up, because your strengths balance out other people's weaknesses, and you're so needed on any team you're on. And it's been so good getting to know you this summer. Like truly, I'm like, I think I'm leaving with a friend. I think we can all feel that way. And so I encourage you, just like you follow up with your interviews and stuff, follow up with us, keep following us on social media and then become like a friend as well.
Yes, I know.
Because we were joking off camera with our producer, Juan. I'm going to give him a shout out.
Yes, shout out Juan.
About how you're going to like get hired after this. And who knows? You never know. We used to have a graphic designer, Maggie, that started out as an intern and became our lead graphic designer here. So your future's bright.
Right. You never know where you'll end up.
When you graduate and you've got that ring on your finger, that Aggie ring, you're going to go so far. And I'm thankful that we got to be a small part of your journey.
Thank you. I'm blessed beyond words to have gotten to do this summer and learn from y'all.
And you're killing it. You're killing it.
Thank you.
If you guys have any advice for Syndey and her internship, or if you want to know more about the internship program, comment below. We read all the comments. We're happy to see what you say. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends, especially if they're in a season of getting ready to start a new job or going to become an intern somewhere, whatever it may be, share it with them. We are so thankful Syndey was here, and we're thankful that you listened. And we'll see you guys the next time you kick your boots up.
Thanks for joining us on Kick Your Boots Up. I'm your host, Taylor McAdams, and we can't wait to share the next story of the West. Until then, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Justin Boots to keep up with our next episode. And we'll see you the next time you kick your boots up.